Hey, everybody, welcome back to another fantastic edition of the His and Her Money Show, where we make it our business to help you take dominion over your money and your life. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. We know that you could be watching and listening to a bunch of other things, but the fact that you're here rocking with us, we want you to know that we are grateful from the bottom of our hearts. And do us a favor, if you find anything helpful in this episode, and I can guarantee that you will find something helpful in this episode, share it with someone that you care about to help them on their journeys as well. Sharing is caring. And if you put it on your socials, make sure you tag us at His and Her Money on every single platform on the planet. We would love to show you love back for showing us love to your people. I'm excited about today's episode because we have a very special guest who is making a return appearance. Now, you haven't seen her on the podcast. You haven't heard her on the podcast because she was a guest of ours way back when the world was shut down. And Ty and I decided that we wanted to be an encouragement in the midst of all the chaos that was going on. And so we went live 21 days straight right when things were shutting down to provide encouragement. And today's guest was one of the guests during that, what we called Stay Home University. And she provided a bunch of encouragement then, and she's about to provide a bunch of encouragement now. Who am I talking about? None other than Real Talk Kim, author, speaker, pastor, all around cool lady who has an abundance of inspiration and encouragement that she gives out on a regular basis. And so we're excited that she's here with us today because she wrote a brand new book called You Gotta Get Up. And she's here to talk to us about that. Why we can't stay stuck. We got to continue to progress forward. So like we always tell you, get your pen and paper ready or get the notes app open on your phone or your iPad so you can be able to take down the jewels that are about to be dropped. Let me go get Real Talk Kim so we can get into this. Hey, Real Talk Kim, welcome to the His and Her Show.
Oh my goodness. Man, Tyler, I am so excited to be back with you. How are you?
Doing well, and we are excited that you are back. We've been keeping tabs on you from a distance, and you've just been blessing folks all over the place and doing what you do. You are literally a fireball of encouragement. You always have something to say to pick people up off the floor. But before we get into you and what you do and how you do it, some people are being introduced to you for the very first time right here and right now. So for them, would you mind saying hello and then kind of letting them know what you are all about?
Hey, everybody. I'm so thankful that I'm back on this wonderful show with the His and Her Money Show. What an incredible couple that you two are. And thank you for your yes. I am Real Talk Kim. My name is actually, my government name is Kimberly Jones. And I am a pastor of Limitless Church right here in Fayetteville, Georgia. I'm the mother of two sons. I'm an author, 5-time author. Got a brand new book coming out August the 22nd called You Gotta Get Up. I have a podcast, Real Talk Kim. And I'm just an entrepreneur, man. I have the gift on my life of God using me, and I'm just so thankful. So if you're ever in Atlanta, y'all come see me at Limitless Church. And everything else that you want to know about me, I'm also a mentor to RTK Inner Circle. And you can go to www.realtalkkim.com to find out everything else about me.
So, Kim, and do I understand this correctly that this book was birthed out of your Facebook page going down?
Yes, listen, I will tell you something. So, Talent, since I was on with you guys, God had, I had built a great platform, Facebook. I literally, the morning my Facebook got hacked, I had a prayer call that morning, and there was 40,000 people that watched that prayer call. I was killing it. Me and God were like a team, killing it. And I signed a book deal. This book right here, You Got to Get Up, with HarperCollins at 5:43. I signed on the dotted line. I was in New York, about to get up and preach on the platform, and at about 6:32, I'll never forget it because I felt like, oh, my life ended. I was just like, I was on there posting because I was about to go live at the event that I was at in New York. And all of a sudden, my pages started doing something funky. And I felt this, oh no, this is not, and I could not retrieve it. It was like the hackers had got in, they shut down the private page, they shut down my personal page, they shut down the Real Talk Kim verified page. And within 5 minutes, I had to get up and preach. And I remember at that moment thinking, it almost, I'm gonna be honest with you, it was literally like a death took place because I just signed a book deal. And now the place that I mean, I was killing it. Like my store was bringing in thousands of dollars each week. I mean, it was like, that was my
Yeah,
platform.
this is not the average Facebook page. We're talking about a
It
million
wasn't.
plus
It
people.
wasn't. And I lost it. And I remember, oh man, that whole week I was just grieving because Meta, you can't talk to people. Like you can't get a hold of people. And I had no idea. I literally, God had taken this girl with special ed and didn't know what I was doing. And I definitely not tech savvy. And I had built, God had blessed me with just millions of people on all of my platforms. And this one was the biggest one for me. And I just started weeping, man. I was like, God, I don't know what to do. I can't get a hold of nobody. I have great connections at Facebook and nobody can help me because of the way they had hacked it. And I remember for the next 3 months, God just really started dealing with me. Like you've made it through divorce. You came out on top. You got better and not bitter. You were a definite late bloomer. These are conversations me and God are having. Like you were a late bloomer because you were stubborn, because you had no accountability. You made it through that. You made it through divorce and you're going to make it through this. There's always a reason why. Sometimes I will wreck your plans because I see your plans are about to wreck you. And talent, when I tell you, man, for the next year, I got detox from Facebook. I realized that Facebook was really holding me hostage in a lot of ways because that was my idol. It was an idol for me that I was all of a sudden forgetting that God put me there. And I began to act like it was my own doing and I was going to wash up and go away. And God was like, no, you, where I'm taking you, Kim, you got to trust me. I gave up on the Facebook page. I was like, God, you know, just do whatever. I got peace in my life. All of a sudden, I started getting extreme peace. I wasn't worried anymore. I got free from people because Facebook literally will allow you to stalk people. You will see when people are being ugly, right? Facebook has a lot more, you can get more input on Facebook than you can any of the other platforms. And I got completely free. And almost a year to the date, I got it back. But it wasn't until God got me free from people again. Because I believe talent, ever so often, you got to take evaluation of your life. And you got to be like, man, there's some things that aren't getting gravity. You know, it's like I can get here and then and then I go back down, or I get here. This part of my life is soaring, and this part is still a little toxic. And I believe that God will, when He's got His hand on your life, He will close some doors in order for us to be able to stretch so that He could take us to new heights. And that's what He did for me. And now I got all the pages back, but I watched literally for a year these people take my page and do whatever they wanted to do on it. And I realized at that moment, talent, I was giving all my attention to a place that when I got hacked, everybody kept on living. I was like, oh my gosh, I've lost relationships over media. I've lost a life over social media. I've given up special family attention for special social media. It was like God detoxed me in that year. And I am so much better today because I allowed something that I thought was detriment I got free from it. And now God's like, okay, you can have it back. You got delivered. And He did it before the book came out. So won't He do it? But yes,
So,
this
so
book
some
was written.
people, they identify completely with what you said,
Yeah.
and some people are still in denial.
Yeah.
Some people don't realize that they're down. Some people don't know that because you didn't until this happened,
No.
how much of an idol this was, how much you were people pleasing, how much you were dependent on the opinions of others.
Yeah.
How can people kind of self-evaluate without their page getting hacked as to where they're at when it comes to this? Because it sounds like if this didn't happen, you would have probably kept on progressing in that same vein. Like
Yeah.
You talked about how you are making it about you and not about God who put you there. So how can we kind of self-evaluate where we stand when it comes to that?
Man, when I was even writing this book, I was writing this book of you got to get up. Like we all are going to go through seasons in our life where we feel like, bleh. We all have to evaluate ourselves, talent. Like we all get to a place where we're like, man, my marriage is stagnant. My business ain't flourishing. I feel stuck. In those moments is when you don't get busier. Don't get out there and get busier trying to ignore. If we will take care of stuff, if we will take regular inventories of our lives, stop blaming the whole world when everything is happening in cycles, it's you. Like you keep dating the same people with different faces, but the same spirit. You keep making bad financial decisions with different people. You keep finding yourself up one day and down one day, up one day and down one day. God is not a God of chaos and confusion. And when you stop and evaluate and say, man, my life is a little catawampus right now, and we all get there. We all go through these seasons. And I believe that God allows these interruptions, per se, whether it's getting a bunch of closed doors, not getting an open door quickly, putting resumes out there, and oh my God, I still ain't got a job. I believe that if God is not a God of chaos and confusion, and he said in Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans that I have for you, saith the Lord, plans to bless you and not harm you, give you a future and a hope, then he's standing there with all the peace we need. But a lot of times, could it be the drama in our lives, the chaos in our lives is because we've not stopped and taken inventory of our own selves and said, I need to work these kinks out. Like I'm about to lose my marriage because I'm not putting the right attention in it. I'm about to end up with no money and back with my mom and dad living in their house with my kids because I don't know how to make wise decisions. Why am I? What is the intent? That's what I do now. That's what you need to do. All of you watching, always ask yourself every single day of my life when I wake up, I say, God, don't let my flesh get in the way. Let me be stopped. Give me conviction. Let me be able to take ownership of things in my life instead of blaming people. Realize there's three fingers point back at me and that I have everything I need to get in a place of peace. That it is possible for me to have walked through a divorce or two divorces or three divorces or four divorces and that fifth one be the one because I worked on me. And so that's how you can do it. This is how you can do it. Take regular inventory, stop and pause at least once a week, man. And just say, I need some time, whether it's going to get your nails done, going to the gym, and just do a heart check on every single area of your life that is important. Because before we know it, the things that are important in our lives are gone because we allowed ourselves to get stuck in a season, allow that season to define our lifetime. And so it's self-evaluation.
Imagine a life where your money isn't strangled by mortgage payments. Imagine what you could do when you don't have to send them money that you work so hard for. Come get simple, powerful, and real solutions to eliminating monthly mortgage payments forever. America's #1 money couple presents Crush My Mortgage. In this exclusive course, you will be equipped with strategies to help you move faster toward the promised land of owning your house free and clear. Learn strategies to help you in the areas of payment acceleration, extra income generation, and wealth creation, all to help you crush your mortgage. Visit crushmymortgage.com and get started today. Join us on the path to power, freedom, and legacy. That's crushmymortgage.com.
And you talk about in your book how dangerous it is to stay stuck. It's dangerous, but it's also incredibly easy when you start. We go through the process of evaluating. You talked about in your book how you were 38, divorced, single mom, and had to go back and live with your parents. It's easy for guilt or shame or a combination of both to handcuff you and prevent you from making any type of progress. But you're encouraging us, even after we evaluate and see, maybe it's us, maybe it's not everybody else. How do we prevent from becoming captive to the guilt and the shame of the realization and find a way to not stay stuck? How did you not stay stuck in those moments?
Talent, I began to research, man. I started listening to podcasts. I remember I went through a season where I turned off music and just put on word. I would listen to TD Jakes. I would listen to people that spoke to my spirit, because I believe that God sends a voice to you in whatever season you're in, because God uses relationships. That's why he likes to isolate us when we mess up, because we just want to go to bed and hide out because that person that said they were going to be our ride or die rode off and didn't stay and didn't support us and didn't buy our books and just left us when times were tough. And in those moments are where you have to realize that isolation is necessary for elevation. A lot of times we're carrying people into these new seasons with us that they were just scaffolding. They can't go where God's taken us. That divorce could have been because their character couldn't keep up with where God's taken you. That rejection was God's protection. So what I did was I began to seek God. I began to read books like You Gotta Get Up. I began to put stuff inside of me that when I didn't want to give up, I wanted to quit, Talent. I wanted to quit. I wanted to throw in the towel. I messed up again after I moved to my mom and dad's. I did another big old doozy. There are so many times in my life where I could have said, I don't need this. I don't want to do this. I want to quit. But I knew that my fruit was outliving the lies that I was telling myself. And I knew that it was not an option for me to give up, because as long as I have a pulse, God's got a plan. And I told myself this, Talent, I was being born on August the 29th, 1972. God knew that I was already going to be here at 38, 39, 40. And he already said, I still qualify you. I still called you. You'll get it together at about 41. That was the very first sermon I ever preached in my life, was at 41. I was a late bloomer. So I had to begin to talk to myself. I had to begin to start putting those terrible thoughts that I was thinking about myself. I wasn't worth fighting for. I make a bunch of wrong decisions. My sons aren't having a complete family because of me. I was in special ed, so I'm dumb and I can't really fly and exceed. I began to put all that junk that was not God telling me that. And I put it behind me. All of you watching today, you got to realize something. The devil isn't fighting you because you're weak. He's fighting you because you're strong. He knows your future, and he's going to do everything he can to stop you from getting to it, because when you finally get to it, see, the greatest thing about going through hell, y'all, is you come out on fire. And you come out with an anointing because you walked through some crushing. Maybe it was your own doing. Maybe it was your own choices. But baby, you got up, you got out, and you still got a future. And God has the propensity to put all the purpose and destiny that he has for your life. He will cram it into the years that you have left, and he will still show out. He's just waiting on you to move and
Y'all
believe.
see? Y'all see why we told you to get your pen and paper ready? Because she keep firing. She keep firing. I hope that y'all are getting what she's giving, because what she's giving is life-giving information, because it's so detrimental to the plan of God on your life when you allow life to stop you from being who God called you to be. There is a process involved. It's not always going to be smooth. As a matter of fact, Kim, one of the punch, like gut punch lines that there's a lot of them that you put in your book is, you said, everyone wants to be a diamond, but nobody wants to get cut. Can you unpack that for us?
Listen, because God uses life experiences. You see those people that go to Bible school? They go to Bible school, they learn how to preach, they learn the word, but they ain't got no character. God uses moments of breaking to chisel us. I believe it. Like, we all make these mistakes and he still lets us do it. It's because he says, I'm going to use these more than I'll ever use you going to college and getting a degree. Some of y'all got more degrees than a thermometer, but you ain't got no character. When you begin to stop trying to fake it and never make it and begin to allow God to do the work. See, I think a lot of times, Talent, the reason we don't, I can attribute it to when we were in the pandemic. I began to eato instead of ketoing. I gained 50 pounds. I was pushing a man's weight, okay? And I remember when I went to the doctor looked at me and said, Kim, you are fat. I'm like, of course, I knew the doctor forever, so she could talk to me like that. She goes, what is going on? Like, you're pushing 48, 49 years old. You're going to be 50 before we know it. And you're going to have cholesterol issues, sugar diabetes. And I remember when I got in the car, I was like, God, take this desire for sugar away from me. And I remember as clear as day, God was like, girl, get the sugar out of your house. Discipline yourself. And that's the same way with the crushing process. Instead of hating, I think the reason we don't want to be crushed is because we care a lot what people think about us. And so we don't want to ever really allow ourselves to be built back up. And we don't really want God to break our spirit to save our soul because we're afraid of what loudmouth chunky butt next to us is going to say when we fall apart and start fresh again. But sometimes God has to remove. Sometimes God has to expose us to expand us. And if we allow him, if things are just going in a circle and we have cycles, allow God. Put yourself in timeout for 30 days. Just 30 days. 30 days, you can do anything for 30 days. I lost 32 pounds in 30 days. I literally got on a workout regimen in 30 days. I wrote this book right here in 30 days, and it's the best book I've ever written. And I did it because I got focused. And so if you don't like where your life is today, you got to get focused and you got to allow the cutting because you're going to be priceless when you come out. Like the reason people follow me to this day is because I got something to say. I can tell you how to mess up a relationship. I can tell you how to keep a relationship. I can tell you how to write a book. I can tell you how to stay stuck trying to write a book for 3 years, right? But it's because I allowed the breaking to make me set me apart. And that's the deal, y'all. When you allow the crushing and you allow God to cut you, you don't even have to worry about people stealing your stuff. You don't even care. You are out here just trying to win the world. You're so excited about life. Peace is following you. You realize that people can steal your recipe, but they ain't got your sauce. That sauce that is curated when he is allowing you to be fixed and build you back up is the greatest life lesson, the greatest journey you'll ever be on. It ain't easy, but it sure is worth it.
Come on. Now, you've called yourself, you said this twice now. I was a late bloomer.
Yeah.
You didn't preach your first sermon until 41, you
Nope.
said. Some people, they've had dreams early on, and then life came, responsibility came, and those dreams kind of got muted, and they feel as though they missed a moment, they missed the opportunity, they missed the season. And for some, they just kind of resound to the fact that it will never be. So for you, when the time came, before you hit the stage, somebody gave you the opportunity to say, hey, I want you to preach on this particular Sunday. You had to talk to yourself like, me? I mean, I'm 41. I missed, that was in seasons past and life happened. How do we not stay stuck in the thought, in the mentality that I missed the moment? And where do we find the courage to say that no matter what my chronological age is, not because you said also not too long ago, if you have a pulse, God still has a plan. But how do we walk that out? How do we find the courage, the guts to put one foot in front of the other, say, you know what, it's not too late. Even if I'm a quote unquote late bloomer, I still have the opportunity to bloom.
You know, I was raised in a religion that said women couldn't preach. And so I never dreamed in a million years that I would be pastoring a church and preaching on the best platforms all over the world for the last 10 years. Nobody did give me that opportunity. I didn't have anybody put me out on the platform. My dad wouldn't let me preach until he got dementia. And then all of a sudden he became my biggest cheerleader. I mean, he got to watch his daughter bloom. And so what I did was I never dreamed that I would be doing what I'm doing today. I never dreamed I would write books. I was in special ed. I still don't know where commas go. I just write my thoughts and an editor helps me, put the commas and stuff where they belong. But what I did was I began to use social media. I began to put what I needed to hear. I would post what I needed to hear, what would encourage myself. And before I knew it, people were like, oh my gosh, she must be a fly on the wall. I began to do videos. I would literally tell it. I would get dressed, leave my house, go in my knockoff Bentley, my little hoopty that kept me on the side of the road every day. This was after I moved in with my mom and dad. And I would sit in a church parking lot or a cul-de-sac, and I would hold my phone up like this, and I would be like, hello, awesome people. I would upload that 2-minute video, and every single day consistently, I would put a video out. And one day, after about 4 months of being consistent, I was doing what I needed to hear. About 6 months after I was being consistent every day, my platform started growing because I was consistent. Consistent is the key. Even when you ain't getting likes, even when you ain't getting retweets, even when nobody's even noticing you, even when nobody's supporting you and you're a one-man show, even when you start your podcast and you put it right here and you go download the Anchor app and you're uploading these podcasts and you don't see no traction, you still do it because God put that desire in you to do it. And one day, one of those videos went viral. And I'm talking like overnight, 100,000 followers, and then 200,000 followers. And then my name, Real Talk Kim, started getting traction. And then before I knew it, people were starting to call me saying, can you come preach? And I'm like, what? And I'll never forget the first church I ever preached in, ever. And then all of a sudden, was able to go full-time ministry because I used a free app, and I would say what I needed to hear. And it wasn't even that revelatory. But because it was transparent and it was real, and I allowed God to break me to give me an oil that would talk to the whole world. I talked to old people, young people, kids. Everybody was understanding it. And that's how you do it. You do what you can with what you got, even if it's just a phone. You ain't got to have a whole crew, a whole staff. You can do it all. You've got it right at your fingerprints, right there, just pushing that live button. And that's what I did. I was just refusing to stay at Bloomingdale's for the rest of my life. And before I knew it, about a year into doing videos, it went viral and I got to start preaching my first sermons. Thank God that I was driving an hour to work every day at Bloomingdale's Lennox, and I was listening to preaching every day. I would just listen to preaching. TD Jakes, get ready, get ready, get ready. I go, pause, get ready, get ready, get ready. I mean, I was practicing. I didn't know what for, but I was getting myself out of depression. I was preaching myself. I was loving people back to life, and I was getting delivered. That's the key. Your purpose is connected to whatever you thought was going to kill you. It's going to be that is the platform God will use you in. If you walk through a divorce, you're going to help tons of people get free. You walk through bankruptcy, you're going to figure your money out and be able to help tons of people with money. Why? Because you know what it's like to lose it, and you know what it's like to gain it.
Yeah, I'm a testimony of that. I didn't
Yeah.
file bankruptcy, but I was clueless with this money thing. And the journey that I went on, and then the journey that my wife and I went on together, is what gave birth to this platform.
And look at y'all.
His and Her Money. So
Yeah.
guys, just do it. You gotta get up and you gotta get
Yes.
moving forward. I'm interested because in this aspect of your book is very well, like it's out of the box book, right? Each chapter starts with a testimony from someone in your that you've positively affected with your ministry, and then you end each chapter with a prayer and a declaration. Some people hear that word, especially Christians, and they get a little whoa, is that woo woo stuff? Like talk how powerful declarations are. What are they? What are they in the life of the believer, and why should we use them on this journey of getting up and getting moving forward?
You know, the Bible says that life and death is in the power of your words. And I really realized a lot of my life looked the way it looked because of my own toxic words. Because what is in your heart comes out of your mouth. What is in your head finds its way to your heart. This is why you got to do checkups on yourself all the time. If you start feeling crabby, you got to stop and spend some time with God and just let God. Don't just talk to God and then be quiet. Let him talk back to you. And so I discovered that I had the power in my mouth. When I accepted Jesus as my personal savior, I got the same power that raised Jesus from the dead now lives inside of me. And I have the power with my words to shift atmosphere. So like in different chapters as I end, I just remember how hard it was for me to find words when I was fighting to get up. I was finding it hard to pray when I was fighting to get my life back. I didn't want to get up. I wanted to go to work and come home and go to bed. And so in this, in part 3 of this book, one of the chapters is called Prison Break. And at the end of it, I walk you through literally how the mirror of unforgiveness. I walk you through tips. This whole book is full of like ammunition. It helps expose, and then it gives you what to do to get out of it. But one of the declarations said, I said, repeat this after me. I once thought I had to stay stuck in dysfunction. Now I know my oh hell no moment has come. I will no longer put up with the things the enemy has used as distraction. I will no longer repeat the same cycles. God, with your help, I'm getting up and moving. I no longer have to settle for the diagnosis because I know that you are the cure. And so I give you these declarations so that you can literally begin to suppress all that negative, because sometimes we don't know anything but what we've been around. And so I just help you retrain a godly way. And when you don't have the words, I have the words. And then I give you a prayer to pray. I pray, repeat this prayer after me. And this is in every chapter for the 15 chapters in this book. I give you these kind of tools, radical restoration, how to get up. How am I going to do it? And so the declarations are very important because you're retraining your mind. You're retraining your mouth. And I'm going to tell y'all something. This is how generational curses are broken off your life. These cycles that your mom and daddy had that they should have broke, but they didn't. You will be the one to break these generational curses off of your family and become the generational blesser because you chose to unbury feelings that were buried alive because they never die, and you dealt with it, and now you are a walking testimony of nothing but glory of where God's brought you.
Talk about your journey, this healing journey, this getting up journey. You did this as a mom of 2 kids. There's a lot of people listening that are parents. Okay, they're about to go on the journey, about to get your book. They're about to go on this personal journey to healing and wholeness and walking in the newness of life that God has intended for them. They still got to be mom. They still got to be dad. What was parenting like through this journey? What advice would you give to people that are about to walk this journey based on the steps and the tips in your book, but they got kids that need to go on this journey with them?
Talent, these are such great questions. For me, I made sure that I never allowed my anger. I prayed over myself a lot because I was very angry, Talent. I was angry at life. I was angry. And we got a lot of people watching today that have walked through a pandemic. They've lost all their money. They've went through their 401k. Lots of divorces happened after that pandemic. Starting over. It feels so hard. Lots of things were exposed. Lost family members. These things are what the enemy uses to make us very angry. And if we're not careful, that anger will begin to manifest in our lives, and our kids will see how we're handling these situations. And I was determined. I was like, I'm never going to talk about my ex. I'm never going to talk ugly. I could have, because I'm the queen of receipts. I made sure that I prayed over myself a lot. I had great people in my ear telling me, get your butt up, stop being petty. I didn't have people in my life that enabled me in my dysfunction. People were honest with me and I let them. Did I like it? Heck no. But I knew that being a single mama was something new for me because nobody in my family had ever walked through divorce. I was the only one that couldn't keep a man. And this thing right here was traveling in my emotions and my thought pattern. And then I had to go get a job. I was making 6 figures as an interior designer, had a $500,000 house. I was very successful. And after this marriage took me to hell in a handbasket emotionally, I gave my business away. I had to sell my $500,000 house, had to move back in with my mom and dad, sold my Mercedes because I couldn't afford it, had to drive this knockoff Bentley, the 300 Chrysler that was terrible. Kept me on the side of the road every day. I literally hit rock bottom, and I had to find out who the rock was at the bottom, which was Jesus. And I did act like a brat for probably 4 or 5 months, just crying and angry at God. And one night I was praying and I was like, God, take this pain away from me. And God spoke to me and said, I can't take it away. You got to get up and walk away from it. And that was the best thing I ever did, Talent, was I realized that it's not my job to handle something that I can't handle. If I'm doing all that I can do, then I have to trust God with what I can't do. And one thing he gave me was a place that I could always find peace. And that is when I was on my knees. When I learned how to take it to the throne instead of the phone, asking people for constructive criticism that had never constructed nothing. And I began to focus my attention on what God was doing. I then was able to lead my children. My children, y'all, they wouldn't even, they were so scared of me because I was so depressed. I was angry. My room was dark. I'd go to work and come home because I hated cosmetics. I was making $9 an hour and I was barely just surviving. I just was allowing my situation to get inside of me. And until I had that oh hell no moment, it was a oh hell no moment where I realized, man, I don't even like you, Kim. You've turned into something I don't even like. This divorce has gotten in you. These rejection from your friends has gotten in you, and you got to fix it. And I began to crawl out of that hole. And that's what every single one of you can do. When you find yourself in a place where you don't understand why you're there, you got to begin to pull yourself out of the pit. You have to. God is not going to do it for you. He is a gentleman and he is not a genie in a bottle. Your friends, nobody's coming to save you. I think that's when I understood, ain't nobody coming to save me. Like, this is something I got to do. I got to fix me from the inside out. And now, talent, my boys, man, my boys work in ministry with me now. They got great little wives. They living in their own houses. Did it was an overnight process? Heck no. I mean, one of them went to jail in this process because he was drinking and driving. And I was just like, man, I failed as a parent. I had to tell the devil to go back to hell where he belonged. And I said, God, you knew all this was going to happen, and you allow things to happen that are going to push us to our destiny. So I began to stop allowing myself. I renewed my mind every day and began to say, I'm a great mom. My kids will call me blessed. My kids will watch me change. And I did it. I did it. When they would try to bring up my past, I would let them vent. I wouldn't even retaliate. I wouldn't even try to defend myself. I made the bad choices. I married the wrong people. I saw the red flags. And instead of defending myself, I was going to pray that God would fix the areas on the inside of me that drew those toxic relationships so my kids could see me blessed. So that's how you do it, y'all. When you don't understand and you're having to raise kids by yourself or even as a couple, just fighting your way through, man. Y'all don't even like each other because y'all are facing life. Life is life. In those moments, you got to realize I'm not quitting. I'm not letting the devil win. I'm going to give the devil a black eye. I don't know when this thing's going to change, but I ain't quitting. If I keep moving, even baby steps turns into a mile and then another mile. It's pulling your thick thigh even when it feels like it's a turtle stuck in peanut butter. And you keep going. And you realize this is not the way my story's going to end. And you begin to thank God that he is using your trials and your tribulations to elevate you. Because, baby, I know how easy it is. You think because the curtain's closed, the production's over. But a lot of times God has to close the curtain in order to set up for the next scene. Your next scene is starting now because awakening is taking place on the inside of you. Because as long as you ain't dead, God ain't done.
So good, so good, so good. As we wrap things up, Kim, I know that there are people that are listening and watching that are in that season that you were once in, where you found yourself walking through the doors of your parents' house with your two kids and you had to restart, hit the reset button. What would 2023 Kim tell the Kim that was walking through the door of her parents' house with her two boys?
Girl, if you could see yourself in 10 years, 10 years ain't that long. If you could see yourself in 10 years, keep going. I think I'd have started quicker. I think I would have humbled myself quicker. I think I would have stopped caring what people thought about me quicker. And so for all of you that feel like the failure, maybe you're a mom and you feel like you're just not cutting it. Maybe you got a prodigal kid that you sacrificed, that you raised in church, and yet now they hate God and acting like they're atheists. Don't you quit. A lot of times your mouth is not the answer. It's your knees. It is knee mail to God. And so listen, I would tell Kim, keep going because you will see the victory. Because one thing about God, y'all listen to me, is God never ends in a deficit. He is never going to let what you lost. He's never going to let your past be greater than what he's going to do in your future. You're just in a process. Enjoy the process as much as you can and realize that you ain't staying here. You ain't staying here. The Bible says grace and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. And that's what he's saying to you today. And I would tell you also, I grabbed a hold of a scripture 3 years ago and it's changed my life. It's Amos 9:13 and it's out of the Message version. And I say this to myself and my staff every day. It says, it won't be long now. God's decree said things are about to happen so fast that your head is about to spin. Blessing upon blessing, you won't be able to keep up. You are walking into your head spinning blessings if you don't give up. Giving up's an option, but it ain't yours. Keep on going.
Come on. I love it. All right, Kim, tell everybody a little bit more about what they'll find in the pages of your brand new book, You Gotta Get Up. Tell them about your podcast and all the ways that they can keep up and connect with you.
Y'all listen, this book right here is coming out August the 22nd. Y'all can all go to Amazon and get this book. You gotta get up. Go pre-sell it. I'm so thankful for the support this book has already gotten. This book right here, y'all listen, it is literally an activator. It is an activator of how to break free from feelings of being stuck. You seek God's healing and boldly live out your abundant purpose. I help you move forward on this. I also got a podcast, y'all, and the podcast is called Real Talk Kim. Every week I come to you live in a talk show form and I give you tips. I talk to you. I take questions that if you can send to rtkquestions@gmail.com for topics that you would love for me to talk about. And then I give you answers to those questions that you have. So it's Real Talk Kim. You can listen to it on every single platform that podcasts are played. You can also go download my app, which is called Real Talk Kim Go, and you can get to everything there. I also mentor a group, a wonderful group called RTK Inner Circle. You can find out about that as well at realtalkkim.com. And that's it. I'm Real Talk Kim on every platform, every single one of them.
We'll be sure to have everything that Kim mentioned in the show notes of this episode. Get it, buy it, connect with it, and I promise you that you will improve your situation as a result. Kim, thank you so much for taking time out of your super busy schedule to come by the His and Her Money Show and drop all these jewels on us today.
Thankful for your talent. So thankful. Honored.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of the His and Her Money Show is in the books. Again, we have everything that Kim mentioned in the episode show notes. Go get it and go make it happen. Our goal here, we're not here for entertainment purposes. We're here to equip you. So we want you to take action. We want you to get up. We want you to get your life back. That's all we got for this time, guys. It's been great. Until next time, peace.